Hey everybody, here a little short video on some things that we were going to touch on in class here on Thursday. And so just to let you know what your assignments are and homework are, and then just briefly go over some stuff that is in the PowerPoint. There's a lot of information in the PowerPoint that's connected to things in the textbook. So if you go through that PowerPoint, and read through it and look at the things that are connected to that in the chapter, you shouldn't have too much of a problem with the quiz. So chapter 1 quiz is due next Thursday. That's one of your assignments. This nature of teaching assignment, basically it's a graphic organizer that talks about the 6 propositions of teaching, which is kind of the main focus of this first chapter in the book, and those are the things I'm going to touch on here in that PowerPoint and in this video. So chapter 1 quiz, nature of teaching. There's just a attachment to this assignment that you can open up. You can download it. It's in a Word document. You can type into it. You can download it and handwrite it, and then you can either upload it or you can bring it to class next Thursday. The other thing to remember that I want you to do is a discussion form. So you go to that discussion form on the left, which I just clicked on, and then down here there is a chapter 1 discussion that you can write about. You do not have to respond to anybody, but it's a post-first discussion, so you have to put a response in there first before you'll be able to see anybody else's response. Okay, do that by next Thursday as well, please. Okay, so one assignment in the discussion forum and 2 assignments in the coursework section, which is the quiz and that nature of teaching. All of them connecting back to chapter 1 of the textbook, which is basically the nature of teaching, is the topic of it. The big component in there is these 6 propositions of teaching, and so they are: teaching looks easy from the outside, every teacher's part of a system, teaching is goal-driven, teaching is more than telling, there is agreement on what teachers need to know and be able to do, and teachers can be effective and yet not alike. Okay, so briefly to touch on those, there's a lot of information in here that if you read through, like I said, you read through, it's connected to the textbook, you'll understand this chapter, I think, fairly easy. So teaching looks easy from the outside. Some people view teaching as easy because that's what they see, based upon, basically they see the end result. If they would come into a classroom, if they have students in a classroom, some people just assume that it's pretty simple. Okay, but we know that it's complex. We have several roles, things overlap, they happen quickly and simultaneously. There is a unique setting. There's lots of planning that goes into setting the classroom up. So we know that that it is a complex process. Okay, things can be unpredictable. So the public rarely witnesses classroom events and conditions. Right? They understand them through the children's viewpoint. Okay? And sometimes those viewpoints aren't always accurate. Sometimes things aren't remembered correctly. They're shared incorrectly. So it looks easy. We know it's not. Okay? Every teacher is part of a system. Okay? Whatever that system might look like, there's lots of components to that system. Again, look through here. Look through this information. Click on this website here. Last I checked, it worked a couple weeks ago with ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, which is the change from No Child Left Behind. Talks about standards-based instructions, waivers, certain legislation, what students in schools, U.S. schools face, some of the disparities. What is the achievement gap? Something that we might experience here in our area. So there's a lot of components here in this piece of every teacher is part of a system. One of Another important thing in this section here is the 21st century learning skills, themes, core subjects. That's an important piece to look at. Connectivity to the internet is something that is kind of a hot topic right now in terms of like our families. It's interesting to see here that approximately 75% of the United States is connected to the internet, where only 34% of the world is actually connected. So that is an interesting component to take a look at. But again, dig deep into this system here. So 21st century learning skills, again, critical thinking, inquiry, understanding, drawing conclusions. All these skills here that are listed are 21st century learning skills, things that schools are now tasked with working to help our students understand and acquire. Okay? So teaching is goal driven. Okay, we don't always set goals, but we should set goals for our students, for ourselves. So you know, we want students to be independent, but often reward conformity. Okay, so an example of that in terms of, you know, have students set goals. Maybe they want to be you know, a better student. They want to be a better friend. They want to do something right that may be hard to quantify or to measure. But we also want them to get good grades, to improve their scores, different things like that, and that kind of might be part of a conformity or you know, being, you know, going along with the group type thing. So set high expectations and goals for students. And work with them, push them to meet those expectations. Okay, they can do it. Okay, so goals are important. Helping students set goals, and then as well as us setting goals as teachers. Okay, teaching is more than telling. Okay, this section talks about that. Reception, having a repertoire of instructional strategies. Listening is a powerful strategy that we can use. Okay, not always talking about things, telling stories, handing out information, giving information, but just listening to students is an important component of teaching as well. So a huge amount of information here in terms of ways that people learn in these different theories of learning. So we got behaviorist, information processing, constructivist, multiple intelligence, brain-based. So these are all YouTube videos that are short clips, links, and conversation about these different approaches to learning. Take some time to go through and watch these videos. They're interesting, and all these approaches, all this information is going to be something that we will come across again, and things that you will need to be able to remember for preparing lessons, preparing your classroom, even taking your licensure exam as you get finished with your bachelor's program, and get ready to take a state exam. So another component, or another of the 6 propositions, is there is agreement on what teachers need to know and to be able to do. So here this is the connection with the state, local, state, and national expectations. And so we have requirements for admission to our program. There are state licensure certifications, passing a praxis exam and a PLT exam to demonstrate your content knowledge and your knowledge of theory of learning is something that is required by all states. So you have to be prepared to be able to pass those exams to get your teaching license. Okay? Take a look. These pages might be off. This is from the older version of the textbook, so the pages might be off a little bit, but look at some of these different figures here and reflect on them in terms of what they show in terms of like responsive and inclusive teaching. Also a little bit of self-assessment of your teaching, or what you would want your teaching to look like. The last proposition here is that teachers can be effective and still or yet not alike. Okay, so you can be an effective teacher and look very much different than the teacher across the hallway or in a different school. Okay, so being an effective teacher partially depends upon your students and what their needs, their likes are, and also what your school is like. So there are multiple ways to be an effective teacher, and not just necessarily based upon students' test scores or the results of some of their assessments. Okay? We as teachers ultimately bring ourselves and our personal gifts and ideas into our classroom, and some of our attributes in there as well. So think about what are some things that you will bring to the classroom as you venture into that teaching field. Okay, we'll go over some of these when we get into the classroom the following week. Some teaching things, what exit cards are, some classroom practices, active listening. So demonstrate some of those effective teaching strategies so that you can start building your classroom toolkit when you jump into the classroom. And some of you are already in the class or schools doing some work there as well. Okay, so go over this PowerPoint. I know I went over it pretty quickly, but take some time to dig into it, look through it. If you have questions about this first chapter, let me know, or we can touch base on them the following Thursday when we meet again, face-to-face, Zoom, whatever it might be. So again, please let me know if you have questions. And then we will go from there. Chapter 1 quiz, nature of teaching worksheet, and the discussion form are your 3 homework assignments for this week coming up, due next Thursday at midnight. In the meantime, take care, and we will see you soon if I can stop the recording.